The Sacramento Kings are frankly embarrassing themselves as a report has dropped from Shams the Athletic that breaks down what was going on with the escalation of trade talks between the Toronto Raptors and Sacramento Kings ahead of their game a couple nights ago. So we're going to break down what the Kings had to offer, what the deal was essentially centered around, because frankly, it is embarrassing what they were asking for in an all NBA guy in Pascal Siakam. What they were trying to offer up, what they were trying to finesse the Toronto Raptors with was frankly madness. But before we dive into that, folks, again, over 56% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. You guys have been crushing it, hitting that sub button, and we're getting very close to that 32,000 subscriber mark. We can get a lot of new viewers, so if you're new to the channel and you're enjoying the content, it would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into the news, because frankly, we have some madness coming out of the Sacramento Kings. It's basically, Shams came out with a report today saying that he's told that the Raptors and Kings were in active trade conversations about a Pascal Siakam trade revolving around Harrison Barnes. At this point, the only way it ignites is if the Toronto Raptors come back to Sacramento. So apparently, all the excitement, all of the ramping up trade talks was just for the Sacramento Kings, who obviously are in a position to where they're acquiring the best player in any trade package. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox nor Domantas Sabonis will be in any Siakam potential trade, as it wouldn't make sense for them to acquire Pascal Siakam and let one of those guys go. So basically, the Kings were hoping to acquire Pascal Siakam, rev it all up, get on the phones with Masai, probably invite him down for a special meeting there in Sacramento, because we all saw that Masai was there courtside, or at least was around the game in Sacramento during that game, made him fly all the way out to the West Coast over there in Sacramento and offered him Harrison Barnes. What is that? In what world do you think Masai Ujiri, a guy that's, one of the top GMs, presidents of basketball operations, his titles have changed over the course of the years, what on earth went through the Sacramento Kings front office's brains and said, hey, we're going to be able to get a deal done surrounding a deal about Harrison Barnes? I mean, what logic, what world would that make sense for the Toronto Raptors? I mean, looking at Harrison Barnes' stats, he's not a horrible player by any means, 31 years old, but 11 points per game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. So again, he's a guy that can space the floor. He shoots the 3 ball very well, shoots the free throw, very well. Doesn't attack the rim that much anymore, isn't getting those crazy dunks like he used to, but Harrison Barnes is a solid role player, an average starter in the NBA. But it's not like you're getting some crazy deal, some baller on a budget in Harrison Barnes if he does end up coming back to the Toronto Raptors. Because the only reason that you'd even contemplate this is if Pascal Siakam is sort of a dude that you don't want to pay and you think the cap situation just won't work out. But I mean, looking at his contract, he's not cheap. He's not a player that's sort of a complete just on a steal of a contract. 17 million, 18 million, 19 million for the next 3 seasons. So you don't even get cap relief following this off year. I mean, why? He's older than Pascal. He's worse than Pascal in pretty well every aspect of the basketball game besides shooting the 3. And frankly, I'm not sold that Pascal Siakam is as bad of a 3-point shooter as the numbers have indicated. And I've brought this up on a multitude of podcasts and a multitude of videos because, frankly, I think he's been asked to take too many shots from, where he's creating above the break sort of contested threes. I mean, if Pascal Siakam was getting the shots Harrison Barnes was sort of taking night in, night out basis, then he'd probably be shooting maybe not 40%, but definitely a lot higher than his current averages are showing. I mean, his percentages have been gradually increasing since the acquisition of Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. So the Kings thought they could just come in and sort of make an offer around Barnes. I mean, maybe there's some draft capital included, and Sacramento Kings first round picks were much more valuable prior to their sort of renaissance in the Kings age. But to offer a deal like this, I don't even care the draft capital unless you're getting, 4 or 5 firsts. But I feel like that would be something brought up in a Shams discussion, centered around Harrison Barnes. No, it would be centered around a bunch of first round draft capital. And we know that Masai Ujiri isn't that interested in that. So I feel like he wouldn't even acknowledge or fly all the way down to Sacramento if that were to be the case. But I mean, what world will we be accepting a Harrison Barnes deal? But the second part of this, which is interesting, because again, I think it's an embarrassing offer. It just is foolishness coming from the Sacramento Kings to think that this is a reasonable offer to the Toronto Raptors. Even if Herter, even if Davion Mitchell are involved in that package, it doesn't really make sense for the Toronto Raptors. But then again, you look at the second half of this, and then the only way it ignites again is if Toronto comes back to Sacramento. So the Kings are essentially done reaching out to Toronto about potential deals. They've said they've given their cap offer in Harrison Barnes, and clearly that leaves one player to be off the table, and that is Keegan Murray. So I'd imagine Masai Ujiri probably went down there thinking, okay, the Kings really want Pascal. The negotiations, the talks, probably got some wink winks like, oh yeah, we're about to give you a juicy offer, a nice little deal, and then it's Harrison Barnes. Masai Ujiri probably thought Keegan Murray could potentially be involved in that package, and it's probably the only reason this deal was taken seriously whatsoever. And I guess it's off the table, and the Kings aren't willing to even negotiate or talk about Keegan Murray being in a potential package. And I mean, I get that Keegan Murray's a young star. I get that he is a player that you wouldn't want to give up. But you have to come to these trade negotiations with a bit of common sense. And maybe this is all leverage, a power play, in trade negotiations, because clearly they've been talking. Clearly, talks have been ramped up at a certain point. But maybe this is all sort of posturing through the media, posturing through Shams. Shams has been a guy that has been used as a tool a lot lately in terms of negotiating in the public sphere. But the fact the Sacramento Kings sort of are engaged in these trade discussions and are writing it off, saying Keegan Murray is involved, it's just a waste of time. People say Masai Ujiri wastes people's time in terms of trade talks and rumors and things like that, always evaluating. Well, you know what? The Kings are doing it back to the Toronto Raptors here now at this point, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty... I don't know. I was shocked to see that was the thing that was getting everyone hyped about, including myself. I was... the way it was worded, the way these reports are coming out, it seemed like a deal was imminent and the Kings maybe gave in on a Keegan Murray sort of package. But frankly, I'm still of the belief that I don't want to trade away Pascal Siakam. I know there's going to be people in the comments saying, hey, Ben, why you always talk? My stance has remained pretty well the same, regardless of the reports that have come out. Unless we are blown away with a deal, unless we are sent something amazing, I'm not interested in dealing with Pascal. Give him his max, give him whatever contract he's sort of looking for, and run forward with it in the future. But let me know what you guys think, because frankly, the rumors are getting pretty wild here now at this point. We just played the Golden State Warriors. In fact, we crushed the Golden State Warriors, and they look like a team that is currently in shambles. If we do make a trade with the Golden State Warriors and Kuminga's back, it feels like Gary Trent Jr. will probably have to be on his way out, given the way they collided in the recent game. I mean, the Mavs have been linked a little bit more as of late as well. They've had one of the top odds as well. I mean, unless we're getting Lively there at the center position, I'm not that interested in a lot of what they have on the roster. I mean, I am really encouraged by what we've seen with this Raptors group. We got a tough test against the LA Lakers tomorrow night, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But I want to know how you guys are feeling. Are you guys swung a little bit by how the Raptors have been playing as of late? Because frankly, with the exception of that Kings game, where I thought we played really well in that game as well. The Kings just hit some ridiculous shots. We're hitting some dumb stuff. The Kings, the Toronto Raptors have been absolutely crushing it under this new era of basketball. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make it as far. Again, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. It means the world to me. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.